Hello, everybody, and welcome. Whether it's good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're checking us out from, welcome to the Human Intelligent Dialogue. I am your host, Dr. Edwin Morino, and it's a pleasure and an honor for me today to be welcoming Dr. Jack Phillips, the well-renowned Dr. Jack Phillips, who's been around the world who knows how many times and has been involved in a variety of organizations. So it's really a pleasure for me. I've known Jack for quite some time. So, Jack, let's get right into it. For number one, thank you for coming on here. I think it's going to be really value add for the listeners and viewers of this. I love your ROI methodology process behind you, well established. Jack, let's start off with those people, just in case there's somebody out there that doesn't know who Dr. Jack Phillips is. So tell us a little bit about your journey and your mission and how you got to where you are here today professionally.
Okay, thank you, Edwin. It's good to be with you. So I'm started off as an engineer at Lockheed. That was one of your employers in the past, and I quickly moved over into the learning and development space, and started a career there, and moved from there to HR, larger companies, uh, head of HR, Fortune 500 company, and then became a president of a banking organization. And that's where I ended my career. And along the way, we developed a system to measure success. It's called the ROI methodology, and it will evaluate any type of project or program along along 5 levels of outcomes. And we just kept working with that. We've published a book around it about 42 years ago now, 83. It was the first book for training evaluation, and then we moved it into HR and human capital and technology, quality, project management, marketing, and innovation. A lot of our work these days is actually in the innovation area, but we still work a lot with human capital. That human capital is really our dominant area where we work.
Yeah, Jack, that's so interesting. Our similar backgrounds. Both of us started at Lockheed, as you say. Both of us started, well, you're an engineer, but eventually you moved into learning and development. So did I. So it's kind of interesting. And you mentioned your first book. It was interesting because I was looking before, and I've got several of your books. For those that don't know, last count, Jack, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I saw 65 so books that are out there. If you Google Dr. Jack Phillips and how many books. So you've got quite a bit of material out there. And to your point, what's really value add is the fact that you're measuring sort of what people call the soft stuff, the touchy-feely stuff. And you've really put some numbers around it and have some great case studies out there. So let me ask you this, Jack. There's some what emerging trends are you seeing now that you're meeting with clients still, as you said, it's picking up around globally now after the pandemic again. What emerging trends are you seeing in the human capital space and organizational dynamic space?
Well, yes, as you know, human capital is our largest expenditure in an organization. That's the employees, and because of that, it brings a lot of attention. Our challenge over the years has been to make sure that that's not a cost, but it's an investment. And the best way to convince an executive that it's an investment is to show them the return on investment using a formula right out of the finance and accounting literature. And that's what we do. So we want executives to see human capital is an investment that we need to continue to support and fund. Now, here's some trends we see. Soft skills, as you point out, are more at risk than classic hard skills like science, technology, engineering, math, technical training, just teaching people to do their jobs. That kind of training is it's necessary, and it's considered necessary, and it's considered valuable to executives. But when it comes to the soft skills, they sometimes don't see the connection. So they're more at risk. So a lot of our work focuses on that. So soft programs need hard data, and that's what we do: connect it to hard data, connect it to money. So that's one trend. Second, hey, the trend is that these programs are evaluated at the request of executives primarily still. And we're trying to get our human capital leaders and specialists to say, don't wait for that request. be proactive here. But if you don't and you spend a lot of money in this area, you're going to get that request. So it's still driven by executives, and we need to make sure it's driven by us going forward. And so we see, if you can show the value, you see good things happening, you can get more funding, more support. In fact, the number one reason people want to use our methodology is to get more funding. But you also, it's a good way to recognize the team of people who deliver those kinds of values. They get, it's good self-satisfaction for them, and it's process improvement. So we make things better, we get support, we get funding, and we keep people happy along the way.
That's awesome, and keep them employed too. So that's an
Yes.
awesome piece. So interesting you say that. So what solutions are you putting into action? Obviously, with your process, what strategies do you see that are making a difference when it comes to using your methodology and people that you're partnering up around the world when it comes to this?
Okay. So if you implement this methodology in a particular function, um, what you can do is get more respect for that function. That turns into more budget for that function. So as you point out, you can keep your budget and get more budget. Hey, the best way to get more funding is to show your executives how well you used the funding you got previously, and show them that there's some more needs. You could deliver even more money. You can even forecast the ROI in advance. So what you do is you become an important contributor to the business, and you're seen as a valuable contributor to the business, not someone who's just a cost that we continue to support and we don't really see the value, but you're adding value, delivering value. Hey, it makes you feel good. It makes you have easy access to executives, and it makes you have a good relationship with your top executive. Hey, when I moved up from a head of HR to president of a bank, I did, I didn't have much of uh, it wasn't that big of a deal for me, uh, because I had convinced our executives that what we do in the HR area is add value, and we deliver value. We speak their language, we get their support. So they had an opportunity to move me in as president of one of the divisions, and we did that. And then from there, I went to be the president of the banking system. So it can help your career. That's sort of the last point there. So you get funding, you get support, you get respect, you get commitment, and you also help yourself with your own career.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Jack. That's a really valued point for those that are listening out there. So, Jack, I'm a trends advisor. There are those that call themselves futurists. I've learned over the years I can't foretell tomorrow, never mind the future. So I call myself more a trends advisor. I studied the trends, and based on that, I kind of put them up as a mirror to organizations and go, so where are you in the scheme of things? So based on that, what do you see, Jack, for the future of work when it comes to AI, remote hybrid arrangements, the whole workforce psychology and workforce evolution today? You've been in this business as long as I. So what do you see with that space? And then obviously with the consulting support that you provide?
Yes. Well, obviously, it's going to affect our workplaces. It hasn't affected it so much yet. We work in the AI area. One of our books is called The Value of Innovation. And I do keynote speeches on what's the ROI of AI. I want to give an example. Um, I was with a group of 4,000 people in Malaysia, and the conference is around AI in human capital. And I had one of the keynote presenters. The two people in front of me were showing some horrible examples of AI. Oh, they're what I call the critics. They're saying, "Hey, it's going to do more harm than good, and it doesn't really help. It's going to destroy the humanity and all of that kind of stuff." And I presented an example of where it helped a company called BMW we worked with in Germany, and they actually eliminated some jobs, but there were jobs that needed to be eliminated. It was software testing. they had 30 something software testers. And what this AI tool was able to do is to automate all of that software testing so that they could actually eliminate that job. Now, the good thing there is that that job was hard to fill because people didn't want to do it. It was kind of monotonous and boring. And so that was a good thing at filling a job that was a struggle and challenge. And everyone displaced got a job. Now, that's a good, happy story. But the problem with so much AI right now is that it's more hype than reality. It just hasn't happened yet, but it will. It's a good tool for us, but we have to be careful. When I look at the community for AI, I see cheerleaders who say, God, this is great, wonderful, best thing that ever happened. I'm on board, sign me up, let me do it quick. And then you've got your curious, show me something. I'm curious about this. Will it help me? Is it going to make a difference here? And then you've got your skeptics or kind of, I'm not sure it will. You got to really show me something. And then the critics are saying it's the worst thing you can do. Just this morning on a TV show, one of the pioneers is saying, if we don't get our control around AI, it's going to destroy humanity. I mean, this is one of the pioneers saying that. And Warren Buffett has already gone on record at his last annual meeting where he's the CEO this year, saying we're going to regret having endorsed and implemented so much AI. So you got the critics over there. What all of them need is what's the value of this? How is it helping? So what I challenge people, you can imagine 4,000 people in the audience. And I said, how many of you are toying with the AI some way in your organization? And I've got, as I raised the hands, I got probably a third of them are doing something now, looking, explaining, checking, subscribing, maybe. But I said, so how many of you have replaced people using AI? Got no hands. How many of you seen an ROI study showing the value of AI? Out of 4,000 people in the audience, not one person raised their hand. So, and that's a challenge. The AI platforms and the promoters of AI, and when they offer you all kinds of tools, what they don't show you is the value that's going to deliver. They have big pipe dreams. We got to get them into reality. See, whether you're a critic or a cheerleader, you need to see the value of this tool. So it's coming. We just got to help control it and use it. And we got to demand that the providers show us the value, show us something that makes sense to us, show us really how it's going to help you. If I have to go behind it and correct it and change it, modify it, does it really add enough value for me? That's what we see sometimes with some of the tools.
Yeah, that is so interesting what you say because to your point, I talk about that too. And interesting, I wonder what the stories were back then with the critics and the hopeful people of when the PC came into existence, which
Yeah.
eliminated millions of jobs but created millions more. And just a couple of days ago, I read that IBM eliminated 8,000 jobs because of AI and had to rehire them again because of AI because they were ended up doing other work. So you can find to your point a very valid one. And so it's going to be interesting. The issue is, to your point, the critics, some of them are reminded of Terminator and Matrix and all these other movies. And so I think there's some positive there. Humanity has shown us in the past that there's good things and bad things we tend to do. So let's see if we can stay on the good side. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
So, last question for you. What actionable advice, and you've been kind of alluding to this along the conversation, what actionable advice do you have for managers, employees, and HR professionals that are there to try to help their organization sort of outdo the competition, for lack of better words?
So I'd say show the value of what you do. And we have our one of our most recent books is a very thin book about what we're talking about and show the value of what we do. And we start out with the story. This book is full of stories, I should say. There's about 30 stories there of how showing the value of what you do made a difference. It made a difference sometimes in their work, maybe in their job, maybe their career, and sometimes it's even a life-changing process for some. So show the value of what you do. It's good for you to know that you made a difference with whatever you're doing, whatever project, whatever program you have. Also, it's to help you get the support that you need to make this thing continue to go. And you'll use it to get funding and you make it better. See, this kind of data, this kind of evaluation tells us what's working and what's not working, so we can make it even better going forward. So just take the plunge, show the value, all the way to maybe to even ROI. Show everyone involved in your project or in your work that it's a good investment for everyone to be involved in this, including yourself. So show the value, and I'd be happy to get that book to anyone who might need a copy of that. So again, it's show the value of what you do, and you can reach me at jack@roiinstitute.net. Be happy to make sure you have a copy of that publication.
Thank you so much, Jack. And actually, it's great that you mentioned that. And at the end, too, by the way, when we close this podcast out, you'll also see Jack's contact information. So I highly recommend you connect with him on LinkedIn. Check out his ROI Institute website. He does certifications around the world. I've been a big fan of what he's been doing over the years. We've known each other for some time, and so as you've seen, I think last I found 60 something books out there. So he constantly puts the information out there. He comes from that left side of the brain, the engineering, the banking industry, where you got to look at the money. And so that's what he's used, helping organizations to sort of impact. How do we address the human capital going forward? It's interesting you talked about, AI early and HI. Human capital rather. There's I've been reading some books about that and reading articles about that, and I continually research and write and post videos out there about that, about in the era of AI, what you need is HI, the human the human intelligence in organizations, in order to help that human capital, because to your point, that's one of the most expensive resources that organizations have. So Jack, any last closing words you may have for the audience?
Yes, when you think about evaluating what you do all the way to impact and ROI, there's a sense that what if it's not working so well? What if what am I doing is not really adding value? Um, well, you need to know that, because if that's not adding value, there's usually something you can do to change it. So don't be afraid of the outcome. Get in there and do it, because if it's not working, more than likely it's not what you're doing, it's not your project, it's something getting in the way outside of what you're doing. There's some barriers out there. So I'd say take the initiative, remove the fears of doing it at this level, and look at the rewards that come out of this. It'll make a difference.
All
Thank
right. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. Again, ROI Institute, Dr. Jack Phillips. And for me, you can see the Human Intelligent Workplace. I hope this has been helpful for you. We wanted to put it as a teaser. We know you have busy days out there, so we don't try to eat up too much of your time. And if you want to learn more, just follow up with the ROI Institute or with myself. So thank you very much to all of you.